then getting onto the other topic, we could actually just throw right in, and we'll stay with this a little bit and then go into there. It's like, and through all this gigging, I learned how to do other things, because at first I had no idea how to do Rasp and Distortion and any of that stuff. And it was until a gig somewhere in like 2005, like I remember that, somewhere around that area, a bass player friend of mine on a gig in Vegas said, hey, when you do this song tonight, I think it was a Billy Idol song, he said, can you make it raspy, like Billy Idol does? And, I already been doing this gig for a couple of years, the same club every week. And I was like, I looked at him and I said, no, I don't know how to do that with my voice. I'm afraid I'm going to hurt it, and I don't know how. But that's what made me chase how to do it. You know what I mean? Because then from there I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And then I would just, through experimenting on gigs, I would try one way, that next day I'd be like, oh, that wasn't a good idea. Let me try something else, let me try something else, let me tweak it this way, let me try this, let me try that. And then finally I kind of clicked on a couple different kinds of distortion that I could use, where I was like, oh, my voice is cool. My voice is fine here. It's not, I couldn't do, I don't think singing the whole night in distorting is a good thing, because it's not a natural sound. But to do songs here and there, I kind of figured my way around it.
Yeah.
I kind of figured out a little thing.
So you're saying that you basically taught yourself these rock techniques for the most part?
Yeah.
Did you learn from other sources and just or did you have any lessons with regards to that?
Nope. I didn't think I could learn it that way, because I was like, this is kind of personal. Like everybody, it's not like regular vocal technique. The way I learned it, bel canto, straight, is something you learn, and you have a teacher that listens to you. No, you're on the wrong vowel, it's not resonating right, you're not supporting. He or she can coach through it. But it's just extreme vocals, and most of the time you go watch your favorite singers that do it great on the record, go watch them live, they're not really doing it that much. They're sparingly doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just figured, I can't hurt myself. I learned it, the honest way that I learned it was, there was a song by Frankie Goes to Hollywood called Relax. You probably remember that from the 80s. Relax, don't do it, when you want to go to... Well, that is not a raspy song, right? Well, there's one gig that I had, we it was the same gig every Friday and Saturday in Irvine, California, and I said, I had it for like 4 or 5 years, and I was like, okay, on this song, because there's a spot where I could do like a siren and just kind of, I used to do this clean kind of scream. I said, what if I try and tweak it different ways? So that's when it started. I would say, okay, let me try this tonight. And I'd go and do it, and I'd go, oh, that didn't feel good, and then I'd be a little hoarse for the next song, or then I'd try something else, and then one would work, and I'd go home and go, okay, what did I do? I did this thing, I did that. And then somebody sent me, because I had never heard it, Jesus Christ Pose from, it was like an a cappella thing of Chris Cornell doing Jesus Christ Pose. It's a song. Okay. And I was like, that sounds like that distortion I just did the other night. And then I went and did it, and I'm like, it was the distortion I did the other night. And then I realized in that range, it's pretty easy to do. When you're high up like that, it's a little bit easier to do than in your lower, like where the passaggio is and stuff like that. Harder to get rasp. Okay. Up above, much easier to get rasp.
That's good to know. So for me, I used to, in my 20s, I used to sing I had a few bands at the time, and we used to perform my original music, which is kind of alternative rock, and we also did some covers that were sort of like pop alternative rock, and I was kind of a little bit more like your Amy Lee, where she has, from Evanescence, she has, pretty clean vocals, kind of a nice sweet sound, and all the real rock sound is coming from what's happening behind her. With all the instruments, really. If you listen to her, she doesn't have distortion. She doesn't have all that grit. She doesn't have that kind of sound. And that's, I think I muddled through that way. But I always felt like, there was always a part of me that said, is this enough? Is this enough to really create an authentic sound for the types of songs that I am writing and for the types of songs that I want to sing? And then, I just kind of left so much of that unexplored in my own voice. Because I really had no idea how to do it. And I also trained with a teacher. He was studying, at the time when I was training with him, he was studying under Edward Johnson. And he was training in bel canto. And so I learned that as a foundation. I never sang arias, with him.
Right.
He was not an accompanist. And so the idea was really just to free up my voice. I learned the foundation, the basics, the rudimentary stuff, the breath management and vowel definition and registration and that kind of thing, and just kind of opening up the throat and spaciousness and that. And I learned a great deal from that, but I didn't actually learn any contemporary technique from that. And at the same time, I was also doing musical theater. I did a number of shows at my university and also traditional theater without music. And so I did musical theater, and in the summer times I did some musical theater shows with a local theater company. And and then as I got through my 20s and then I got married and such, I started sort of leaning more and more toward musical theater, which I really think suits my voice a lot more. My voice is more suited to.
Right.
But there's always been this part of me that wants to re-record some of my originals. But I'm hesitant to do it because I think when people listen back, they're going to there's going to be that missing element. There's not going to be that little bit of grit or distortion or what have you. And I think that was always something, like, I feel like I kind of got by, but it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. And so, but I think, again, it's that I left that largely unexplored. And just with anything with the voice, when you're learning new things, like even for me, I mean, I've had to teach myself how to mix and how to belt. I didn't learn that from my bel canto training as much as it was good. It was a good foundation.
Right.
But it didn't teach me the sounds that I wanted to make per se. It wasn't going to teach me rock sounds. It wasn't going to teach me, but it lays the foundation, definitely.
Right.
And then you have to tweak it from there. But I think I never got to that point while I was gigging and what have you. I never got to that point where I was actually exploring my voice. And
that's what you have to do for those type of sounds. It's about emotion and experimenting. It's like, that I think that's totally it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think in the words of, like, is it Count Rugen from The Princess Bride, then we suffer from a deplorable lack of curiosity. I think that was me. I really did. I was one of those people who was raised not to ask questions.
Right.
You just listen and you obey.
Right.
And so I did whatever my teacher told me, very obediently.
Right.
And I just kind of made it through my training. And but I didn't really ask. I didn't even ask myself the questions. Like, could I be doing more with my voice? I just kind of like, I heard the progress. I knew I was getting better. I knew I was getting more confident. But yeah, I just, now that I've gotten older and I'm middle-aged, now I realize, like, what do I have to lose?
Yeah, it's just I think a lot of people either concentrate too much on it or are afraid, like I was afraid, like you said, you were afraid to concentrate on it at all. So I just did it really sparingly. It was one song, the part came up twice in the song, and it was like, that was my moment for the night. If I blew it, I blew it. No one's going to notice in the audience. It was just a scream. You know what I mean? But I'll know what it felt like, how it made me feel the next day, and could I recreate it.
All right, we have a frozen screen again.
So yeah, to get that last part was just, knowing that I could recreate it, try to recreate it, but I didn't try to do it in every song. That would be just ridiculous. Because then, as I got better at it, I would try and use it more often. And what would happen was I'd be like, oh, okay, I can sing AC/DC, we just should be all night long, or Back in Black, and I'd do it, and then, oh, damn, sing, now it's time to sing Don't Stop Believing, and I'd go to sing Don't Stop Believing, and I'd be a little heavy, and I'd be like, uh-oh, you can't be heavy on this shit, you know what I mean? So it was like, okay, now it's going to be a tug of war, and I also believe the more you do it, the more you get comfortable. And when I was in gigging 3 nights a week, and I was doing it all the time, never got tired. If I was doing it now, I'm not gigging as much, I'm sure I would start getting a little tired until I built up that idea of stamina again.
Yeah. Well, you're currently trying to redirect your focus to teteaching, or to direct it more to teaching.
Yeah. I mean, I love to gig more, but I mean, to be honest, it's tougher than it was. There's what we call in the biz, we have a lot of weekend warriors. So, especially up here where I live, there's a couple nice clubs with nice places to play. But, when you go to the club owner and you go, hey, I got a great 4-piece band, we come in, play 3 hours, kill it. And then he says, okay, $350. I'm like, a guy? And he goes, no, for the band. And I go, no. that's what these guys get, but this isn't I'm bringing it to professionals, you know what I mean? It's like, and this is what's kind of happened. You get the weekend warriors come and go, oh, just give us a case of beer and a couple $100. And then this happened before, I believe, in like the 80s. But it took a turn. So I'm hoping maybe it takes a turn again. But right now, that's where it's at. I mean, I didn't have a New Year's gig this year. And it was like first time in 25 years.
Wow.
That's weird. Like, what? You know, I could have took one for much lower rev, but I was like, well, I might as well just spend it home. You know what I mean? And if I'm not going to make the, you know. So it's kind of a trip. You know, it definitely has changed. That's why I got into teaching. Because I was like, and because I studied so much with so many teachers, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I think I got a little knowledge of this now. I think I got a little hand of this a little bit.
Are you familiar with Flyleaf?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so check him out later on. But so in Flyleaf, the lead singer, the original lead singer, she's got this like kind of really interesting. It's a very unique kind of voice, and
right.
it's kind of sweeter, and it's very girly, very youthful sounding. And then she's got a couple songs where she does these death metal growls. And it's one of those, like, it's almost like a shock effect kind of thing, right? And it's kind of this, like, whoa, where did that come from?
Right.
That came out of her mouth.
Right.
And in one of her videos, she mentioned Melissa Cross's The Zen of Screaming. Yeah. And I was like, So talking about exploring, that's exactly what I did. I went out and bought that program a few years ago. Okay. And I was like, wouldn't that be just really cool if maybe I could have just that one note, that one scream, that one growl, something that just kind of shows that I have a little bit more than my musical theater, you know, kind of sound. But yeah, like even after the musical theater stuff, you know, I got into leading worship. Right. And I led worship at the largest church in New England for 2.5 years, and then I led at different churches around and stuff, and that's definitely not something that you need a lot of distortion for. So, that was my primary focus, and I was leading a couple times a week, and then it just became one of those things where it was almost like impractical. Do I invest the time into this when I am not currently using this? But then there's always that part of me that is curious and that says, you know, I want to explore these things. I want to start exploring more textures and colors and qualities. So I'm actually at that place, and I don't know if I've missed that window of opportunity in my life, but, you know, it's like, I'm like, why not? What do I have to lose by trying out some of these things?
It's super healthy, so it's gonna be fine. Just, you know, the one thing I would say about the technique of it, like if you're looking at it as a technique, is just don't get too loud. If you find yourself, and I call it chasing the sound, if you're chasing the distortion, that's going to cause problems.
See, I think for somebody like myself, like, so I have like, I'm a lyric instrument. I don't have a very heavy weighted instrument. I mean, and I'm still working on my chest mix and belting. I wouldn't say that it's 100% secure. It's not really strong. I know it's something we've talked about, I think, in other conversations we've had over Skype. This idea of just making sure that you've solidified and that you've strengthened your voice sometimes before you try some of these techniques too. That you're not just trying to jump ahead. Like I always just tell my students, like, don't try to jump ahead. Don't focus prematurely on the aesthetics and adding those effects and that sort of thing. Make sure that you've solidified that foundation first before you start slapping on the paint or the wallpaper.
Right. Yeah, because each of the ways that I find this, you know, I gave my little course that I had sold on my website, whatever, but each of the ways I find it is just one from a vocal fry, which we know is very light. So whether you're, wow, all those heavy metal guys who do that kind of thing, like not the heavy, but the screamo guys, it's kind of in that, they do all that. And then there's the grunty kind of sound is like the Cookie Monster, like, there's that. And that doesn't do anything in your chorus. That's just a grunty kind of sound. So, and then there's, you know, so there's all these different ones that I find, but most of them come from the vocal fry and from, you know, it's holding back. It's not going out. Belting's going out.
Yeah.
Like that's the doubt. If I'm belting, I'm reaching you over there. If I'm singing even an aria, I'm reaching over there. But for this kind of stuff, it's more in than out. And that's the way I always try to explain it.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things. Have you seen Melissa Cross's program at all? Okay, so one of the
things
that she talks
out there, I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, one of the things she talks about is how, and even Lacey from Flyleaf was talking about this because she was demonstrating in one of these videos, and she did like a little instructional video, and she just she basically talks about how it's when you cup the microphone in such a way that it actually makes it sound much louder and much scarier than it actually is. And she talks about this sort of ingressive kind of growl where you're literally making the sound on the inhale. And that makes you use a little bit of a different part of the vocal folds because now the top portion's vibrating before the bottom, so that you're not, it affects the mucosal wave in a certain way, but then you're not getting the same heaviness, and the vocal folds aren't slamming together. And it can sound really, really crazy, and all the diction... There's not usually much diction in the death metal growls, I think, but all of that is really just coming from mouthing and just reshaping the vocal tract, and you're basically tuning the formants, but you're basically doing this on an inhaled kind of sound, and it's really fascinating to me, and that but it's I don't know.
It's just a lot. It's if you chase the sound, you try to get too loud. That's when I know from doing that gig, like that would hurt me. Like that, so I was okay. So then when I was kind of coming up my own way. I don't even, to be honest, not my favorite thing to do anymore. Like, I did that, but I'm more into clean, high, Stevie Wonder type vocals. That's my favorite kind of stuff. So, but I kind of made up a little thing. Like, for the technique of it, I made up little sounds. So, one I call, and you can do this at home. One's called the drug dealer, right? And it's like, what does the drug dealer do? What's the drug dealer do? He's like around the corner, you're walking down the street, and you're like, hey, Karyn.
You're like creeping me out.
You want some stuff? Yeah. What I did is I just took that feeling. So if I'm singing, wake up Maggie, I think I got something to say to you, but I want to have a little bit of the drug dealer, I position my voice in the drug dealer. Hey, wake up Maggie, I think I got, and that kind of comes in.
Yeah.
Drug dealer, whoa! And then, whoa, it's go higher, whoa! And then it's get up to the upper screams of it, but it's all in the same position. I'm statically locking a position and then singing through it.
So was there ever a time, though, where, especially if you were used to clean vocals and sort of singing with the vocal folds just kind of vibrating more efficiently, we'll say, that it felt like kind of scratchy? Because I know, like, my singing teacher used to have me do something where it was like this cat, like, ah, kind of sound, and it was just, and it always made me, like, because it felt tickly. Like, I hated the feeling of it. I hated the sensation of it. And I don't know if it was just that I was doing it incorrectly, or if it's just that my instrument is not well designed for that, or, because I know some instruments, I think, can handle that better. Some instruments have a natural, almost distortion even in their speaking voices.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's natural, like Rod Stewart. There was no making that guy sing clean. It wasn't going to happen. He's got that sound. Bruce Springsteen's got that sound. Even Bon Jovi has that sound, And then there's artificial ones that you kind of, like you said, you kind of create. And what you just did there was like what I call like a witch's cackle with the vocal fry. So if you're singing Back in Black, that's all that is. It's Back in Black. And then I add
that kind of,
Back in Black. And then I put a little, even more of a grunt pullback. Back in Black.
Okay.
So that's easy. There's no pain. But again, it's easy because of where it is.
So does that work as well for females though? Because like my concern is that I will sound too shrill. Being a girl.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely. I don't think it's because the chords are the same, or just your chords are thinner and smaller. But I think it would work exactly the same.
So before we move on to another topic, too, I just want to mention that I will put the links to your website and your rock vocal mastery course. What's it called? Matt.
I think it's called 14 Days to Rock Vocal Mastery, which a friend of mine gave me as a joke, and I was like, I'll just do this perfect. It's actually 14 Days to Rock Vocal Mastery. But, it just, it talks about the different things I just talked about. The drug dealer, I call it, because you're ahead. Then Cookie Monster, and then there's like a grunty sound. So this is really kind of funny, because a lot of people can't do this. They always octave somewhere else. So if I had to go, if I had to go, listen to how I go. Not.
It's like that old man, like.
Right.
It's very low larynx.
So,
It's low larynx.
It's very low larynx.
Yeah.
A lot of people like default. They go and they can't get that. That's another part of it. Like when I'm doing the Foo Fighters type of guy, it's this grunt. It's this grunty sound like this, and then you put the like, someone getting the best. It's not loud.
Okay.
The best of you, and I'm just gonna sing through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's another, like, I have that on there, as well. Like, there's just 3 or 4 positions, then I combine them. Okay, take the witch's cackle, combine it with the vocal fryer, and you get this. Take this, combine it with this, you get this sound, and you kind of combine the sounds.
All right.
It takes experimenting on someone's part, that's all it is.
So I know I've referred a few people to that program, and I keep wanting to buy it. It's a matter of time. Like I am like so.
Well, I thought I sent it to you. I'll just send it.
You
to you.
did. Well, no, you didn't send it to me. Yeah, I know. We'll do that later. But yeah. For me, it's just a matter of time. Like I feel like there's only so much time for me to be able to work on my voice. I'd love to have more time in the day, but between homeschooling my kids and working and doing whatever else, I don't have the time to invest in my voice, so I have to basically streamline my focus and just focus on exactly what it is that is the most practical for me right now and really target what it is that I need to work on. I was also going to say, too, that you recently taught a masterclass on basic rock vocals, and I will also include the link to that.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like that was it was at Vocalize You, which is like Dave Stroud created it. That's his company, and he was with Seth for many years, Seth Riggs, and then he broke off years later, and he was with Seth for a lot of years, and then he started his own, and he's been a friend of mine for a long time. He was a teacher of mine back early on, and he just said, hey, do you want to come and do this and teach to the students, and then give a class to some of the teachers in they call it this VIP network. And I said, sure. So it was 90 minutes in each of them. And the cool thing about the teachers one was I was sitting there, and I didn't know everybody. I was doing Dave and 1 or 2 other people, and I was talking about, I was doing the Chris Monroe type stuff, and then we were analyzing it with an analyzer. What frequencies are spiking, and then we were doing Chris Cornell's and analyzing his and trying to balance them out, try to get them equal, and we're doing all these things. And the way I was talking about the voice, how how I find these higher notes and do this kind of thing. And one of the teachers, she kept agreeing with me, and she's really nice. And, when I said something about being aggressive, it doesn't have to be, painful, and you don't chase the volume. She was like, yes. And then come to find out after the class, she goes, hey, I want to introduce myself. And I looked at her name tag, and it was Ingo Tietz's daughter.
Karyn. Yeah.
Karyn. And I was like, oh my God, I sure be on my knees. So she, but yeah, it was really cool because she was in the class, and it kind of solidified a lot. I didn't even know who she was, but I kept seeing her nod. Yeah, that's right. And me and my colleagues, that's exactly how we look at the boys, and we studied with myself. And then, talking about her dad afterwards, we talked a whole bunch, and it was really cool to be in the room with someone like that, that I know so looked at. Her dad is still looked at in the science of it all.
Oh, he's wonderful. Will do. I'll do that soon.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting ready to do a little bit of recording. So.
Good.
Yeah, the first song I'm going to start out with it's an original song. It's an older song of mine, but I rearranged it. I basically changed all the chord progressions. I changed the key, changed the chord progressions, changed the voicing that I was using for the chords. I wrote it on guitar. I wrote it a cappella. First, put it into guitar.
Right.
And then when I sat down to the piano, I didn't like how it sounded, and so then I rewrote it for piano. And it's just kind of whatever. But it's not in that alternative rock style. It's a little different. I can't really call it jazz, but it's not really singer-songwriter. I don't even know how to define the actual genre, the style that it's in, but. So we've got plans with the band to record that really, really soon and just kind of put it out there.
Yeah.
but I may need the rock vocals for some future songs.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the little chorus thing is funny because it was actually, I did it because John Henney told me to do it. He called me and said, you should do one of these things, and he told me what to get, keynote and something else, and how to put it together, and I said, okay, and I had a weekend, and I said, if I don't do it this weekend, I ain't going to do it. And I just, me as computer illiterate as I am, it took me about all weekend. I probably didn't sleep, and I just kept on trying to work it out right and everything. Yeah, it was on a dare.
Yeah.